What is going on, guys? We are here back with another video. Join us now as we break down the biggest SmackDown moments and the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Jacob Fatu sending a huge message before Backlash, Tala Tonga finally getting a real spotlight, a debut that did not land the way WWE wanted, shocking new roster exits, and some very sad news from the wrestling world. So let's get straight into it. Jacob Fatu once again looked like one of the biggest stars on SmackDown. If there was one clear takeaway from this show, it is that Jacob Fatu does not feel like a side piece anymore. He feels like a major part of the blue brand. The second he got involved, the whole energy changed, and that is exactly what top stars do. They make the segment feel hotter just by being in it. Jacob came across like a man who knows he belongs in the biggest stories, and WWE is clearly presenting him that way too. The intensity was there, the crowd reaction was there, and the message after the chaos only made the whole thing feel bigger. Right now, Jacob Fatu feels like someone the company is actively trying to move toward the top level as quickly as possible. Next up, the bigger reason this Jacob Fatu push matters. This is not just about one good night on SmackDown. This is about momentum. Jacob is starting to feel like somebody WWE is trusting with real spotlight, not just hot reactions. There is a difference. Hot reactions can cool off. Real spotlight means the company is building around you, and that is what this looked like. It felt like another step toward making fans see him as championship material, not just a dangerous enforcer or chaos machine. Even if he does not win every major match right away, WWE clearly wants people to think bigger when they look at him now. Next up, Tala Tonga finally felt like more than just the tall guy in the group. This was another important part of the show. Tala Tonga was presented like a wrecking ball, and honestly, it was needed. For a while there has been that fear that he could end up stuck in that role where he looks intimidating but never truly matters on his own. This week helped fix that a little. He was all over the show in a way that made him feel destructive, and that is a lot better than just having him stand in the background while somebody else does all the real work. Now yes, his pacing still feels heavy in places, and that part is not suddenly gone, but the presentation did him a favor. For once, he felt like a real piece of the story instead of just another body attached to it. Next up, Jacy Jayne keeps looking more and more like a serious problem. One of the cleaner success stories on the show was Jacy Jayne continuing to feel like she belongs in a major spot. That is the key thing with her right now. She does not look overwhelmed, and she does not look like she is trying to fake main roster confidence. She actually carries herself like she expects to be there. That matters a lot, especially when a newer name is being positioned around bigger stars and bigger expectations, and the reaction she is getting is useful too. It is not forced heat. It feels more natural. The audience is responding to her like she matters, and WWE is doing the right thing by leaning into that instead of overcomplicating it. Next up, Gunther stepping toward Cody Rhodes made the title scene feel heavier. This was another part of the show that worked because of who was involved. Gunther instantly makes anything feel more serious. That is one of his biggest strengths. The moment he is attached to a title direction, the whole thing starts to feel more dangerous. With Cody involved, it did not come across like some random attack just thrown in there to fill time. It felt like WWE planting a possible future direction. Maybe it is the road they take. Maybe it is just one option on the table. But either way, the company clearly wanted fans to start thinking about it, and when Gunther is holding up title energy around Cody Rhodes, people are going to pay attention. Next up, Ricky Saints' debut should have hit harder than it did. This is where the show lost some momentum. For a debut that had a lot of interest around it, the actual presentation just felt undercooked. There was not enough energy, not enough clear identity, and not enough of that you need to care right now, feeling so. That is the danger with debut segments. If you do not land the first impression strongly enough, fans start doubting the direction before it even has a chance to breathe. Then the naming slip online only made the whole thing feel even messier. That kind of production mistake might sound small, but when the debut is already shaky, it becomes part of the story in the worst way. It does not mean Ricky Saints is finished or anything dramatic like that, but it absolutely means WWE made life harder for him than it needed to on night one. Next up, WWE really needs to stop piling mystery angles on top of each other. The Jacob Fatu phone call segment is a perfect example of the issue. On its own, it is fine. Tense mood, little bit of intrigue, something hidden, something emotional, table gets flipped, fans start wondering. Fine. The problem is not one mystery, the problem is how many mysteries WWE already has floating around at once. When too many story threads get introduced and not enough of them get answered, viewers stop feeling intrigued and start feeling like they are being stalled. That is the risk now. Triple H-style long-term storytelling works when the audience believes the company knows where it is going. But once it starts feeling like things are just being left hanging for the sake of it, then the whole thing gets weaker fast. Next up, some of the title stories are getting way too silly. This is one of those issues that keeps creeping back in WWE. There is a difference between adding comedy and making the entire title scene feel less serious. Some of the more costume-heavy and joke-driven stuff around the United States title picture is dragging the tone down too much. And that is a problem, because once the audience starts laughing at the feud more than caring about it, the belt itself starts feeling smaller. Comedy can work. It absolutely can, but you need balance. Right now, the balance is off, and some of these scenes feel like they belong in a completely different show than the rest of the card. Next up, the Bloodline still feels important, but the formula is getting repetitive. This is the kind of thing fans notice even if they do not always say it the same way. Yes, the Bloodline material still gets attention. Yes, it still involves major names. Yes, it still feels like one of the biggest things WWE has. But at the same time, the structure has started feeling familiar in a way that is not always good. Big entrance, big stare down, numbers game, somebody gets laid out, somebody stands tall, repeat next week. That is the issue. The old Bloodline story worked because it kept evolving emotionally. The newer versions sometimes feel like they are moving physically without always moving dramatically. There is a difference. WWE has to make sure that all this TV time is actually leading somewhere fresh. Now let's get into the biggest breaking news, because this part is wild. There have been more shocking roster exits, and some of these names are the type that make fans instantly stop and ask what exactly is going on behind the scenes. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods being moved out hit fans hard. This is the kind of story that instantly feels bigger than just another roster update, especially with Kofi, because when you think about him, you think longevity, reliability, major moments, and one of the most beloved careers of the modern era. So when somebody like that suddenly looks to be done, of course the reaction is huge. And what makes it even more frustrating is that the later New Day direction never got the real payoff it should have. There was something there after the turn. There was heat there. There was potential there, but WWE never fully committed to making it feel as major as it could have been, so now it all just feels unfinished. Next up, the bigger message here is that nobody feels untouchable anymore. That is what really hangs over this story. The shock is one thing, but the colder reality is another. More and more, it feels like the idea of being a WWE lifer does not mean what it used to mean. Fans know it, wrestlers know it, and that changes the atmosphere. From a business side, people can talk about payroll and restructuring all they want, but for viewers it still comes down to one thing. If names this established can be moved on from, then no one really feels safe. And finally, there is some genuinely sad news from the wrestling world. Rebel has shared a heartbreaking update on her health, confirming that doctors found she is dealing with ALS, which is a progressive and terminal neurological disease. That comes after earlier health struggles had already been revealed, and now the situation is even more devastating. So before anything else, prayers and support absolutely go her way. Because stories like this go way beyond wrestling and put everything else into perspective very quickly. So when you put everything together, this week had a little bit of everything. SmackDown pushed some strong names forward, but also showed off some of WWE's usual bad habits. The roster shakeup created real shock, especially with bigger names involved. That is all for now. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling.